Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Welcome, Catholic pilgrims, to day 237 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. So, I have a confession to make to you all. These past couple of weeks since we've been back from Turkey, trying to get this podcast up has been so difficult. Let me explain. So the house that we live in, because we just moved in, does not have internet right now, and we are waiting patiently, somewhat, on the internet stuff to come in the mail, and I'm baffled because it's 2021 and I don't understand why they can't just flip a switch, but whatever. So my house doesn't have internet, and my cell coverage is super spotty because I'm kind of in a wooden area and I've got a bunch of telephone lines running around me or electricity lines running around me. And so it makes the cell coverage pretty hard. And I have a tin roof. I know, I'm not living in the woods. Anyway, trying to get this podcast up and loaded every day has been a challenge. So just to let you know what's going on here, I have to record the podcast. Then when my husband gets home, because we only have one car right now, because the other one's on a boat coming from Turkey. When he gets home, he takes me out driving in the car, and I get a hotspot from his phone, his cell phone, and we drive around while I upload the podcast and type out the quick show notes on it, and then get it all ready to go for the next day. Oh, it has been hard. It has been a little annoying because I'm frustrated that we can't get the internet going quicker, but I thought about it. I'm like, I bet the devil is doing this. I am sure he's behind all this because he doesn't want us to finish this diary, but I will not be swayed. Come hell or high water, I will have this podcast up every day. I cannot let you guys down. And the only reason I'm not letting you guys down is because God is keeping this afloat. I have prayed, Lord, please don't let me miss a day. I can't let everybody down. And so far, he has made it happen. So today we are going to be reading from Notebook 3, numbers 1153 through 1159. June 23rd, 1937. As I was praying before the most blessed sacrament, my physical suffering ceased suddenly, and I heard this voice in my soul. You see, I can give you everything in one moment. I am not constrained by any law. June 24th. After Holy Communion, I heard these words. Know, my daughter, that in one moment I can give you everything that is needed for the fulfillment of this task. After these words, an extraordinary light remained in my soul, and all God's demands seemed to me to be so simple that even a little child could carry them out. June 27th. Today, I saw the convent of the new congregation. It was a large and spacious building. I went from room to room, observing everything. I saw that God's providence had provided for all that was necessary. The persons living in this convent were still wearing lay clothes, but a thoroughly religious spirit reigned there, and I was organizing everything just as the Lord wanted. All of a sudden, I heard a rebuke from one of our sisters. Sister, how can you carry out such works? I answered that it was not I, but the Lord working through me, and that I had the authorization for everything. During Mass, I received light and profound understanding concerning this whole work, and not a shadow of a doubt remained in my soul. The Lord gave me knowledge of His will under 3 aspects, so to speak, but it all comes down to one. The first is that souls separated from the world will burn as an offering before God's throne and beg for mercy for the whole world. And by their entreaties, they will obtain blessings for priests, and through their prayers prepare the world for the final coming of Jesus. The second is prayer joined to the act of mercy. In particular, they will defend the souls of children against the spirit of evil. Prayer and merciful deeds are all that will be required of these souls, and even the poorest persons can be admitted to their number. And in this egoistic world, they will try to rouse up love, the mercy of Jesus. The third is prayer and deeds of mercy, without any obligation of taking vows. But by doing this, these persons will have a share in all the merits and privileges of the whole congregation. Everyone in the world can belong to this group. A member of this group ought to perform at least one act of mercy a day. At least one, but there can be many more, for such deeds can easily be carried out by anyone, even the very poorest. For there are three ways of performing an act of mercy: the merciful word, by forgiving and by comforting. Secondly, if you can offer no word, then pray. That too is mercy. And thirdly, deeds of mercy. And when the last day comes, we shall be judged from this, and on this basis we shall receive the eternal verdict. God's floodgates have been opened for us. Let us want to take advantage of them before the day of God's justice arrives, and that will be a dreadful day. So Sister Faustina today is having another, I think, a vision, or she's actually visiting the space where this new congregation devoted to the Divine Mercy is being held. I would gather that she's having a vision of it. She says, "Today I saw the convent of the new congregation. It was a large and spacious building. I went from room to room observing everything. The persons living in the convent were still wearing lay clothes." She's not there yet, so I don't think people are actually living in this new congregation yet. I think she's having a vision. So I could be wrong, but that's my take on it. And so while she's there, the Lord gives her knowledge of his will under three aspects. And so those are the three aspects that she goes over. And again, what I'm gathering is that these are the things that this congregation is to focus on. And so she says the first is that souls separated from the world will burn as an offering before God's throne and beg mercy for the whole world. What I think she's talking about is because they are religious, they have separated themselves from the world. They don't live out in the world. And so part of their quote unquote job is to beg for mercy for the whole world. And then the second is prayer joined to an act of mercy. In particular, they will defend the souls of children against the spirit of evil. Prayer and merciful deeds are all that will be required of these souls. And then the third is prayer and deeds of mercy without any obligation of taking vows. So I think this is for anybody. And she even says down at the bottom, anyone in the world can belong to this group. So I'm kind of guessing, like, how you can be a tertiary, a Dominican order, third order. That's a tertiary. You live out in the world, but you still do a lot of the things that those who live in the order do. And I'm guessing that's what she's speaking about, that people who are going to kind of belong to maybe a third order of this Divine Mercy congregation, these are the things that they can focus on: prayer and deeds of mercy. They don't have to take vows like she does, but they can still join in this congregation and offer these specific types of prayers of mercy. Then in the next paragraph, she says, a member of this group ought to perform at least one act of mercy a day. And then she goes into what those actually are. The first is a merciful word, by forgiving and by comforting. And we've talked about forgiveness before. All of us struggle with it, especially with somebody who's hurt us deeply. And so this is something where we can truly do an act of mercy if there's someone in our life that needs to be forgiven. Now, I've talked about in my life, there were guys that I needed to forgive. I could never tell them. I don't know where they are, and I'm not about to go looking them up. I don't know how to ever say to them, yes, I forgive you, unless one day by chance I run into them. But in my heart, I have forgiven them. I have let God handle that, and that is good. I don't know exactly how that gets played out in their lives later on down the road on their judgment day. I don't know, but I'll let God handle that. But there may be people in your life that you do know where they are, and they have hurt you, and you do need to forgive them. Now, maybe that person is still hurting you or will continue to still hurt you. In that case, you do need to set up healthy boundaries and remove yourself from them possibly, but you can still forgive them from afar if that's what needs to happen, so that it's not weighing you down in bitterness. The next thing she says is, if you can offer no word, then pray. Pray for that person. there are so many people across the world right now that could use prayers of mercy. And, we can never do it enough. And sometimes it just seems overwhelming. And so, something I would suggest is maybe pick 2 people in your life that you know well that maybe need prayers of mercy, and maybe a group that needs prayers of mercy, like a big specific group, like maybe fallen away Catholics or those who are a part of terrorist organizations or something like that. Pick a group, maybe pray on them for a month. I have this little card that I read every morning after my daily prayers, and it has a general intention for the month. And I usually try to pick 2 people to pray for that maybe don't know that I'm praying for them, and then a bigger group, something kind of worldwide, or people that I don't really know very well. But one that I have been actually praying for recently is terrorists, that they might come to know Christ and that they might desire peace and realize that all the hateful crimes that they've been committing can be forgiven by God. That is possible if they come with a repentant heart. The next thing she says is, thirdly, deeds of mercy. And when the last day comes, we shall be judged from this. And so deeds of mercy, there's always things that we can do. Yesterday, Sister Faustina was talking about how she was struggling to be kind. And she was at first trying to do it very well to somebody who was being rude to her or lying about her. And then it became a big struggle to remain calm. But that can be a deed of mercy, is to show somebody kindness when they are not being kind to you. You may have to pray for some actual graces, but it is something that we can do. Show them mercy. Maybe if there's a rude person on the road and you'd rather not deal with them, or you'd rather be rude back to them, maybe just show them mercy. Who knows what's going on in their lives? Let them in on the merge lane or whatever it is they want to do. And then just let it go. Just let it go and be kind, and don't let it bother you anymore. And so lots of good advice today from Sister Faustina about how to show mercy, pray for mercy, beg for mercy for sinners. And this is something that she is wanting this congregation, and Christ too, to focus on, is mercy, mercy, mercy for the whole world. And hopefully that message gets out. So that is all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I'll see you back here for day 238. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.